with another episode of Beachside Banter with B. Today we are diving into some money-saving tips with Linda King, who is also known as the Smart Travelista. Travelista. I said that right. I'm so excited for Linda to be here. We're going to learn all sorts of money-saving tips today. Yeah, so Linda, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the Smart Travelista.
Thank you for the lovely welcome, Bea. So, hi everyone, I'm Linda King, an author, travel writer, and travel blogger. And as Bea said, founder of the Smart Travelista. I've worked in the travel industry and also banking. So, I have expertise in travel and money management. And I love sharing tips with everyone so they can travel and save money.
Awesome. So what kind of got you started in the money travel business?
So, as a child, we travelled early, so we did a lot of travel. And then when I left school, I wanted to get into the travel industry because I just wanted to continue traveling. What inspired me to become what I am, I suppose, with the Smart Travelista, I'd always been sharing a lot of travel tips with everyone. And the tips themselves are like second nature to me. So I do them normally. But then I realised not everyone knows those tips. So I thought I'm going to formalise this and put it in writings and share the tips with everyone because not a lot of people know these tips. And I think everyone should have the opportunity to travel the world. But obviously that sometimes comes at a cost. But if you do it the right way, you can save money. And saving money means you can do more travel, which is really what we want to do as travellers.
That's what we're all looking for sure. Okay, so that's awesome. So you kind of just came up with all these money saving ideas. You threw it down on paper. How did you come across this? Is this just like your strategy? What did you find from somebody else, or did you come up with a strategy all by yourself? How did that come about?
So a lot of the strategies that I use, I learned in the travel industry when I was a travel agent. And I was teaching other people these strategies as well. And then the others, it's really through
Okay.
research and trial and error. So obviously, when I came out of the travel industry, I still wanted to travel cheaply because one of the benefits of being in the travel industry is you do get cheaper trips. And I thought there's got to be a way of doing this without having those benefits because I was used to that and I wanted to just continue that. I'm always open to other people's ideas too. I have learnt from other travellers and other people that I've spoken to. So I think everything that I do is things that I've tried and are really successful, but also things that I've heard from other people. So you've got to be open, I think, to constantly learning, but then sharing the learnings with everyone else.
That's awesome. We're also thankful that you're going to share some tips. Okay, so real quick, let's just kind of go through your little travel history. Where's the most exciting place that you think that you've been? This is my favorite part, is just knowing and picking everybody's brains.
Most exciting. You know what, Bea, there are so many places that are exciting. I think my most memorable, the first really big trip that I went on was to Europe. So I really dreamt about this as
Okay.
a kid going there, but then actually seeing it in real life was mind blowing, I would have to say, as a younger person. And it was like, oh, this is amazing. This is what people say when they say travel the world. So I first landed in London and then went on a tour of, the 25 days and like 10 countries tour. But yeah, I was like a sponge. I was absorbing it all in and going, oh my God, like
Oof.
pinching myself that I was there. So I would have to say the most memorable one that
That's
really
awesome. I would
struck.
be doing the same thing. I bet.
So I'd say Europe was probably the first place really that had an impact on me. But there are so many destinations that I love. Europe's got to be up there as a favourite destination. I think there's so many countries there that you can explore. But you know what? The whole world is just so lovely. I would have to
Most
say
definitely.
everywhere.
Oh, that's a good answer. I like that one. Yeah. So I'll be honest, I haven't made it over to Europe yet. I want to. It's so far away from, I'm in the very, very center of the US. So it takes me, at least 4 hours even to get to the end of the US to make it towards Europe. So it would be about, I think it's like a 12 to 13 hour flight. And we, my husband and I are not experts with long travel flights. The most we've
Mm,
done is like, we just did a French Polynesia flight that was about 9.5 hours. And that was the longest that we've done. And
mm,
we definitely weren't very well fitted for it. We're used to the shorter flights, so by the time 5 hours kind of came in, we were like, get me off this plane.
mm,
Hopefully, one day we're gonna make it to Europe, though. I think that
yeah.
there's so many amazing places over there that and architecture and all of that that can be seen. So that's
Mm.
awesome. Um, so how has your travel style kind of evolved since you started first exploring the world? Did you do a lot of like, I know you said that you were a travel agent, so did you, before that, did you do like regular trips? Did you ever use an agent? What kind of prompted you to get into the travel agent world?
So yeah, so before I was a travel agent, I did go to a travel agent. And what I would do normally is pick their brain. So I would ask a lot of
Hmm.
questions. Um, but then I think when I learned how to do it myself and do it for others, I then went, you know what, I don't need a travel
Gotcha.
agent now. I'll be my own travel agent. Um, so I think my travel styles has evolved. Obviously, when you first start, you're an inexperienced traveler. You don't really know a lot.
Right.
And I think it's the trips that you take that make you more experienced. So I think I've become more adventurous, I suppose, as it's gone along. You're a little bit worried at the start. I think, yeah, I've
Hmm.
definitely evolved that way and more adventurous in the way that I do things. Always keep safety in mind, though. I don't want to put my life at risk, um, but balance that out. You've got to have a bit of adventure because that's part of the travel deal, but you also want to be safe when you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk all the things money saving tips. What's the most common simple task or simple trick that you use that kind of saves you the most money?
The first thing that I do, I sign up for any of the travel companies that I'm going to be getting services and products through. So I know we don't like the spam email. We get hundreds of them a day, every day, but those emails are like gold because what they'll tell you is when the sales are on, and normally 100% of the time it's going to be in low and shoulder season. So I would say to everyone, I know it's lovely traveling in high season, but you're going to be paying the most amount of money and it's going to be really crowded wherever you go. So if you can travel in low and shoulder season, you're going to get a massive saving to start with. Also, you know, we also love our sleep and, you know, we don't want to get up for those really early flights, but they actually save you money as well. The way I figure it, I've got to get up really early, which is a bit horrendous, but then I can sleep on the plane and catch up with my sleep that way. But that's also a really good thing to do. What I would say is book online yourself. I know some people go, well, where do I start? I don't know where to start. Yeah, it's a little bit daunting maybe at first, but you just take it step by step. Once you've done it once for yourself or you and your family, you can see the cost savings. Just the fact that you've saved that money will mean that you'll do this again. Some people don't have the time and they go to a travel agent. That's okay too, but what you've got to understand with a travel agent is they're charging commission for, and they're going to lead you to the products that they get the highest commission on. Might not be the ones that are going to suit you, but everyone's different, right? But yeah, I would say definitely book online, travel on those really early or really late flights. Also do your research. A big money saving is research. Don't pick the first thing you see. You really got to shop around. So say if you were shopping around for something, you wouldn't take the first thing you saw advertised, would you? You'd go around and do your shopping and then you'd say to someone, can you price match that? So you've got to do the same with travel. You've got to think of it as anything that you would buy, whether it be a car or just a normal item. Do your shopping. One airline might be offering it for this price, but you might save 200 going with someone else. So you've just got to make sure that you do that. It does take time though. Time is well spent
Right,
though because you're
absolutely.
going to
So,
save a lot of money.
yeah, it is time consuming and there is a lot of research that goes into it. So, do you find yourself when you're looking at deals, do you go to third party places or do you try to stick to like the manufacturers, like hotel and that sort of thing, their websites?
It depends on where I'm going. There are a really good lot of travel aggregators out there. So what I mean by that, if listeners don't understand that, is a website that offers everything, the flights, the accommodation, the touring, the cars, and everything. So one really good one that I use is Skyscanner, but there's so many others out there that will offer it. So what they do, they've got some really brilliant tools on there. You tell them where you want to go, or if you've got no idea where you want to go, you on Skyscanner you can press anywhere and it'll tell you anywhere from where you are to anywhere in the world also. But yeah, what it does is it gives you all the airlines. So every airline that flies that route will have that there. And then you can go, all right, that time actually suits me and that price is really good. I want to pick that one. So they're sort of like travel one-stop shops. You can separate it, but it depends on where you're going. Like sometimes I use the aggregators, but again, it depends on where I'm going. If I'm going to, say, Asia, I might use my preferred airline and then I'll have my preferred hotels that I use. And another thing that I do, I'm big on my miles, my airline miles. So are these companies offering the airline miles also, and are they connected to the program? So that I look at those sorts of things because I want to, yes, save money, but then I also want to build the points so that I can then redeem later.
All those things that so I actually I found the points guy. Everybody knows who the points guy is, right? He
Mm,
was kind of like the guy who made it the biggest and deal about all these points and gave you all these travel credit card ideas and get this and share this and then close this one and all of that. So that's kind of how I started traveling because I'll be honest with you, it's so expensive. And the very first time that
mm,
I actually went just to go outside of the our honeymoon or whatever, just outside of the country for the first time, we were looking at probably 3,500 just for the two of us, all inclusive. And to me,
mm,
that just seems like so much money to spend on a week. Even though I know that I'm going to be getting a lot out of it, memories, of course, that are going to last a lifetime and all of that. But still, it just seems just so much. So, and then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'll be one of those people who would rather travel more than have one huge trip every year. So I started looking into it. I'm like, there's got to be a way that I can travel. There's got to be a way I can figure this out. So I started doing, cashback redemptions and the points and all of that. And that's kind of how I've been able to travel. I mean, I've only been to about 10 countries, but if it weren't for those points, I definitely wouldn't be able to. So you use those often. Which ones do you think you use the most, like brand wise and credit cards?
So I've got two credit cards, and what I did was made sure that they were affiliated with the loyalty program that I've got. So I put everything on the credit card, and then what I do is I clear it when in the statement period. So things that you might use cash for, I just use card. We're really lucky in Australia also with this program. It's got affiliation with supermarket. So we go to a supermarket every week to buy food and bits and pieces. We actually get points also. So
Oh.
we're getting double points. We're getting the points for the credit card and also points for the supermarket shopping. So I think if you really want to maximize the points, you can have multiple mile programs, but think about the airline that you travel the most on and then really research that and try and get partners that are going to maximize the points. So with the airline that I travel with that's connected to the program, if I get products from them, I get double, triple, quadruple points, and it just builds on itself. So I would be getting these products anyway. I'd be getting flights, I'd be getting accommodation. So I just make sure that I get those. And then if I'm using other hotels, then I make sure that that's got a program connected to it. So we have multiple programs going at the same time. And then what happens is if you can't get it on one, you'll go to the other and go, okay, I'm going to get cash off this one. So that's really good. That place I'm going to is a little bit more expensive. I need the cash off. So yeah, it's just about really understanding when you join that program, do a bit of research. It's going to be a little bit time consuming. Keep up to date with what they're offering and just make sure that you're utilising any of those promotions, any of the partners offers that they're offering out there. I find that that's really good. Everyone's a bit different, so they might want to build those points and redeem it for a short trip, or they might want to redeem it for hotel stay. What I try and do is bank all the points up for a long haul. So for me, I save it up to get a business class to London because Australia and Europe are so far away. For me, that's probably the best value. and also who wants to go economy.
Right.
We've got to go business class if we're going nearly a day in traveling, So, but yeah, it's just really about understanding it. Get serious about those programs that you're joining, because that's where the money savings also going to be. So get the credit cards, use the products that are associated with it, and just keep up to date. So you might do your initial research when you join. Make sure you're looking at it once a month. What else are they offering? Are there other promotions? And yeah, keep doing it like that. I've seen some people have like 10 credit cards. I'm not one of those people, just to, get all the points. But you just got to be mindful of the annual fee, because a lot of those credit cards have annual fees, and you don't want to be paying like, $5,000 a year just to have 10 credit cards. You've got to get the ones that are going to do the best for you, but, reasonably
Right.
priced. Because what it does is it just wipes out any benefit you've got there.
Agreed.
Mm.
Absolutely. Right? What's the point then at that point?
Yes.
That yeah, I know I totally agree. One of the biggest benefits that I have found that I use the often, or probably the most, is global entry. Do you have that in Australia?
No, what's global entries?
Oh, eek! It gets me so excited talking about it. So, basically, it's like this program that the United States has come up with. I assumed it was other countries, but maybe it's not. Where basically you get, you put your fingerprints and your face down onto like this program system or whatever, and then when you walk in, instead of waiting in that real long customs line that you have. You guys have customs, I'm sure. So you have to wait in
Mm.
that big long line to get in to check your ID and say, look, this is me, this is who I am, all this. What they do is they just do a quick face scan, and then they say, oh, yep, this person's on file. Go ahead and go through. So you don't really have to stop and talk to an agent, border patrol, or anything like that. You just go right in. They show your picture, you scan your little passport, they say, yep, you're good, come on in. So, one of the things that I usually travel into Atlanta, and Atlanta, I don't know if you've ever been through that, but is one of the busiest airports that I've been to in the States. I know there's tons out there that are way bigger and way busier. But one of the things is that you always have to come into Atlanta, go through customs, and then hit security again so that you can get onto your plane if you're like connecting anywhere in the US. So, being able to do that gold or global entry thing is just it's the best thing in the world, because it takes you about 10 minutes in, you're out, and other people who are on your plane are also getting in line, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. But without the credit cards, I wouldn't have ever explored global entry. And so yeah,
Mm.
it's definitely one of my favorite things. So I feel like Australia has got to have something like that.
Well, we do. It's not really called global entries,
Maybe
but
it's coming.
yes, we've got express lines. So we put the passport in and scan it, and it takes your photo similar to that.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't do
Yeah.
fingerprints in Australia, but then it lets you go through. So yeah, there is an express line, but there's nothing attached to it. It's just like if you've got a certain sort of passport, you can just feed it in. It reads it. I think what they're trying to do is do more self-service. So yeah, but no, that sounds really interesting. I'll have to investigate, make sure I sign up for it if I can.
Yeah, yeah. So I love it. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys have something like that. I definitely think that every country should, because that's like the worst part when you just spent 8 hours coming home and you're like, oh, I gotta wait in this long line, go through security all over again. Somebody who is coming brand new, and they've never been outside of their countries, they've never really done any kind of like trips or anything like that. Where would you suggest they start? Other than, do you think that they should just start with all of the name brands and grabbing all point accounts for all of them? Or is there specific ones that you should start with first and then kind of work your way up to?
So I think they really need to consider, is the trip they're going on just like a one-off, or are they going to be doing it, more often? I would think about, where are you traveling to? What country you're from, actually, because each country is different, whatever country is offering. So you probably look at that first. If it's someone that's just doing their travel first up, you think about, okay, if I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, let's join the airline loyalty program. If I'm flying on my national carrier, or a normal, specific airline, what I would do is break it down into steps. So they're going to need a flight. They're going to need accommodation of some sort. Think about transport to and from the airport, and then think about what they want to do when they get there. So I would break it down into steps. So we're talking about getting the airline. And again, this is where they decide whether they go to with a travel agent or book it online. But say they're going to book it online, great. Let's have a look. and search for, say if it was me, I'm going Melbourne to London, say for instance, what airlines fly there? Is my airline in my loyalty program going there? Great. Let's have a look at it. What's my budget? Got to think about the budget also. So that will dictate to you where you're going. Also, you've got to know sort of a little bit about how expensive that place is. So if it was me and I'm going to London, I know it's a bit expensive, so I know I'm going to need a little bit of extra money. What time of the year am I going? Is it peak? Is it off peak? Consider those things. How long have I got? How long is my employer letting me go for? Is it a week or is it a month? So we've got to consider all these things. What I would do, get the flights first. Book the flights. Once they're confirmed, let's have a look at the accommodation. Now, when you consider accommodation, what are you going to be doing? Do you need to be in the middle of the city that you're staying in? Is that where you're doing all the activities that you're doing? Or are you getting picked up and you're just going on tours? If you're getting picked up and you don't need to be in the city and you don't need to be sightseeing there, you could probably go a little bit out on the outskirts of that place because that's cheaper. If you're needing to be inside, you might pay a little bit more, so you'd go in there. You know, is someone going to pick you up at the airport when you arrive? Or you're getting an Uber or a ride share? What touring are you doing? So you might have 5 days there. You know, what have you got planned for those? Are you going to run by the seat of your pants and just do things on the fly, or do you want to plan what you do while you're there? And then you've got to consider money. So are you taking credit card or are you getting cash? Exchange your money for some foreign cash. It's about the spending money. Make sure that you've got plenty of money with you. You're heading off and then enjoy yourself. Also, what I would say is if it's a first time, have a backup plan because things don't always go as planned. Do you know who you
Right.
can call if things go wrong? Have you got your travel insurance? That's really big too. Must have travel insurance. So that, yeah, they'd be the things I consider. I know it seems really daunting for someone that maybe hasn't done it before, but it's just about taking it step by step. And once you've done it, as I said before, once you've done it once, it builds your confidence and then you can do it yourself. And also having that time before you leave. So, you know, your employer might say, well, you can have 2 weeks off in October and you might be in April. So it's like, okay, well, we better start looking at it now. Let's have a look at things. But in the meantime, save up, join up with those programs via email because you're going to get emails in the meantime and those sales are going to happen and you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to London. That's a really good price. I've been monitoring the price and that's actually $1,000 off. I think I'll go with that. It's just about doing that. And yeah, and then you would have your trip and just enjoy it after that.
It's my favorite part is the enjoyment part.
Yes.
We kind of talked about Skyscanner being your favorite one for like travel and that, or for flights and that sort of thing. Do you prefer hotels versus Airbnb, or which one do you find saves you the most money?
I find hotels because I get points for the hotels. I don't think Airbnb offers points at the moment, not that I know of. Airbnb is good, like it can save you money. I think it's really good if you've got a few people. I think it's probably more affordable if you're in a group or a family. For me, the hotels are probably the best because I'm earning those points. And if you're traveling solo, it's a lot more secure as well. There's a bit more security there, but it's up to the individual. And also depends where you're going because
Yeah.
some places don't have a lot of hotels. If I'm honest with you, like French Polynesia is one place. I went there earlier this year. They don't have many hotels. They've got other things on offer there, but it just depends on, I think, the place you're going to because, yeah, not every place offers that. If you're going to somewhere like Asia or the States, well, then there's many hotels to choose from. But, yeah, depending on the place, they may not have that on offer. So, yeah, I think it's up to the individual. But for me, I get the point. I think the hotels are really good because you can get the free breakfast as part of the deal, and that saves you money. If you can get a full buffet breakfast, you don't feel like you need lunch because you've had so much for breakfast, and yet it keeps you going until dinner time in most cases. So, but yeah, it's whatever you really want to do.
I love a hotel. There's nothing better to me than having to be able to have them come in and clean my towels and my sheets and all that stuff. Because does not happen at home like I'd want it to. So that's my favorite part of it. And plus, yeah, like you, the great point, the free breakfast is usually really helpful too, because then it kind of holds you over for a little bit longer and saves you some money on, the overall food budget. And I usually will try to skip lunch so that I can get a little bit of a fancier dinner too. So that
Mm.
way I don't feel as bad about spending a little bit more on like a, steak and lobster or something like that if I can, because that's the only time I get to eat it. I know you mentioned, making sure that you have something there for in case the unexpected happens. How much would you usually recommend to somebody to kind of have in your pocket just in case something crazy happened?
Well, I got advice a long time ago. Always expect the unexpected and take more than you think you're going to need. So, but be careful with that because obviously you don't want to have it all in one place and then be robbed and have no money. So you've got to be careful with that, but always have a backup
Right.
plan. Obviously travel insurance isn't mandatory in my opinion. If you've got money to travel, then you should have the travel insurance. So that's your first thing you need to do. Secondly, if something goes wrong, do you know your country consulate in that place? So if you're in India or somewhere like that, if you've got if you're a US citizen, US consulate, do you know where it's located? Have you got their number? Have you got their toll-free number that you can call? What I try and do, I have this number in many places. I've got it inside my phone, written down on a little thing on my passport, and I've got it somewhere else. So if touch wood, and I've never needed to use them, that's also good to know because when things go wrong, you get stressed and get a bit anxious and you're not thinking straight and you're thinking, oh my God, what number do I call? But if you've got it there, it's like a godsend. Also, know the emergency number of the place that you're travelling to because they all change. I think is it 911 in the States? For us, it's 000. So, every country's got a different number. So find that out. And normally in the hotel directory, it'll tell you emergencies. So it's always good to note that down as well. We don't want to get in those situations to start with when we're travelling. So it's just about trying to be as safe and as mindful as possible. If something doesn't look right, get out of there quick. Trust your gut. So, I was in one place and saw something that didn't look right. I'm telling you, I ran down that street and got out of there real quick. Went with my gut. So listen to your gut. If something's not right, get out of there. Also, if you're going to Europe or places like that, I think you call them fanny packs over in the States. We call them bum bags, those little packs. Always have it at the front of you. Don't have it at the back because you're at a risk. Someone can go to your back and you're going to feel them take it, but you're not going to see them. You've got to be able to see people. So have whatever you've got in the front of you. Don't take everything with you because it's just a recipe for disaster. Screams tourist and you're going to be a target. But yeah, there's a few other things that you can do that will make you safe, but just be really observant and self-aware when you travel. I think that helps. But then plan for the worst that might happen. We don't want it to happen, but always plan for it. And then that'll put you at ease because then at least you know that you know what to do if something does happen.
Another thing I would suggest too for especially new time travelers is to kind of run some of those scenarios through your head before you leave for your
Mm,
trip. So, hey, what would happen if I did get pickpocketed? What would be my next response? Or what happens if so and so doesn't pick me up on time to do, my excursion or whatever it is? That way you're already kind of mentally prepared for some of that stuff.
mm,
I know mine is basically just anxiety induced, but I do that no matter how many times I travel. I can travel to the exact same place over and over again, and I still kind of run those scenarios through my head because you just never know. And it's always good to kind of be over prepared than to be under
mm.
prepared in those situations. So I definitely agree with everything that you just said. And one thing I will say real quick, I just have to throw. Did you call them what did you call them? Bum bags?
Bum bags. We call them bum bags. Yes.
The fanny
I don't know why, but it's like, have you got your bum
bum
bag?
bags.
Yes. Yeah, I've got
Okay, I like
because
that.
because they're supposed to be on the back. They tie around, you know how they tie around the middle? They're supposed to be on the bum and they sit on the top of your bum. But
Got
but you shouldn't.
it.
But you shouldn't. They should be around the other way, around the
That totally
front.
makes sense. I would have.
What you got to understand about us Aussies, we're a bit crazy. And things, yeah, sometimes things don't make sense. They make
Sorry, that
sense
just
to
made my day.
us.
I've never heard of a bum bag before, but I'm going to call it that. That's okay. It's better name than a fanny pack. Come on now. That's all I have to
Yeah,
say. Fanny pack. I
absolutely.
mean, I guess it's the same. Your fanny is your bum. Okay. Yeah, okay. One of the best things about talking to people from other countries is that you just like these little bitty things that everybody does that's different. It makes my heart so happy because I know that. So what kind of travel plans do you have going on coming up soon? Because I know a lot of people are going to want to follow you and your expertise and travel tips and stuff once they get done with this podcast. So where are you taking us? Where are we going next?
So I'm going to Canada in October, which I'm very excited about. So traveling, flying into Toronto and then traveling around. I'm
Okay.
doing a quick side trip to Miami on my way back to Australia. And then next year it's going to be Europe. Um, haven't planned the countries yet, but we're going to go through Europe for a little bit of a trip. So plenty of plans. Two, 2026. So I'll probably have Europe and a few other little small trips. 2026. I think I've planned for about the next 5 years on all the trips that I'm thinking of going on. So, um, but much travel in the future. And I hope that for the listeners as well. Hope there's a lot of travel that they've got planned as well as you, Bea.
Yeah, I honestly, so I've been kind of landlocked for a while. So I've been focusing on the podcast and the new boutique that we opened up recently. My husband and I are moving from across the country. Actually, we're moving south. So we're up in kind of like the middle of the U.S. So we're moving down towards the very bottom. Hopefully Texas, if not Florida. We're not real sure, but something along those lines. And then the second we get moved into the wherever it is that we land. I have all kinds of trips planned, so I'm hoping that starting December, I've got a couple of things lined up. St. Kitts is one of them for sure. I've also looked at Grenada, which I'm super excited about. So just a couple of different ones. We were also talking about Colombia as well, just to kind of get
Mm.
in there and see some of that before things start to get too crazy down there. So yeah, we've got lots of exciting things going on. Do you do a lot of solo travel, or do you do most of it like with do you have like a friend that you go with?
So I do a little bit of both, depending on where I'm going.
Mm.
I will do the solo, but if it's sort of a place that's maybe a little bit more risky, shall I say, probably a group's probably the better way to go with other people.
Right.
But it depends on people's availability. That really decides whether someone will come or not. But irrespective of that, if they can't come, I'm definitely going anyway. So it just depends on people's plans.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. So my husband does not have a remote job at the moment, so he's needed into the office often. So he'll go into the office, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and book myself a quick trip. We'll do some solo travel. I've learned a lot
Mm,
about myself. I will stand by it 100%. If you have not ever gone on a solo trip, you should, even if it's only for just a couple of days, just so that you can
mm,
kind of date yourself, so to speak, and learn a lot about who you are and what you like. And you don't have to worry about having that dreaded conversation of where we're going to eat tonight or anything like that, which is amazing. That's my favorite part. Although I don't really love the table for one look that I get every time I go in. But other than that, it's pretty great. So towards the very end of all of the podcasts, I like to give you an opportunity to plug yourself, your social medias, your website, all of that. Tell people where they can find you because I definitely want them to follow you along on your travels.
yeah. So if you're interested in any of my books, head to Amazon. So I've got two book series, the Smart Travelista guides, which are how to for different travel topics. And if you're into entertaining travel stories where things go wrong with me and other travellers that I've met, Annex from Abroad is also a great read. Um, if you're really interested in finding out more about what I've got to offer in the Smart Travelista, head over to my website. So it's thesmarttravelista.com. I've got my blog, I've got information about the books, other travel resources, probably the best way to start and dive in there for some of those money saving tips. But I'm on all social media, so on X, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it, I'm there. And happy for anyone to reach out. Travel's my favourite topic. saving money is great too. So if you engage with me and we start talking about that,
Love it.
it'll just keep going.
I know we could literally be here all day if we started talking about all the trips that you've been to and all the amazing beaches. I do have to ask, what's your favorite beach so far that you've been to?
I think Maya Bay in Krabi in Thailand. It's the place they filmed The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. It is the most stunning place in the world.
Oh,
Went there just recently. If you fly to Phuket, get a speedboat from Phuket and go out to the Phi Phi Islands and do a tour out there. It's the most stunning place I've ever seen, probably rivaling Bora Bora in French Polynesia. So yeah, that's probably the most stunning beach I've ever seen. I haven't got words to describe it. It's that beautiful.
no words to describe it, huh? It's that amazing. That one's definitely on my list. I just have not made it there yet. So hopefully one of these days I will. We'll see. The very last question I ask everybody, what does paradise mean to you? Is that the mountains? Is that the beach? Is that just hanging out at home with your puppy, kitty, whatever you have? Or what is that?
So paradise is about being happy. So paradise can be in your normal life. Everything's going well, no dramas. When we talk about travel, any travel to me is paradise. We're out of our normal and someone else is waiting on us on hand and foot. So if you're in a hotel, no cleaning, no dishes, and you're relaxing. So I think the aim in life is to make sure your whole life's a paradise, if possible, whether that be normal or travel. But yeah, being positive in life and, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And it's just about how we make that life the most wonderful thing ever.
That's great. I like that. Paradise is anywhere you're happy. That's a great takeaway from this. Man, Linda, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot from you. I'm so glad to know that I'm doing a lot of the things correctly with the savings and all of that sort of thing. So I'm really excited. And I really hope that our audience is able to kind of get a little bit of a confidence boost in themselves and they can start to kind of do their own travel planning as opposed to continually to go to their travel agent, which there's nothing wrong with it. If you want your travel agent to book for you, absolutely have them do it. I have some amazing travel agent friends. I can hook you up with some of them. But, sometimes it's just a little bit, you feel a little bit more in control when you do it all yourself. And it makes you, especially when you actually get there and you go through and you see all of your, your vacation come to fruition and you're like, oh, this is what I worked so hard for. It's very rewarding. So if you haven't been able to do it, definitely give it a whirl. Continue with your travel agents too, if you'd like. Whatever works best for you. All right. Thanks so much, Linda. I appreciate it. I will let you know when this airs and we will keep in touch. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bea. Been a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey there, beach lovers. That's it for today's episode of Beachside Banter with Bea. I sure hope you had as much fun as I did. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can catch me on all social media platforms at Life, Love, and Travel. And if you've got a question or you just want to stop by and say hi, feel free to slide into my DMs and I'll make sure to get those answered for you. Big thanks to everyone who joined me today and for all of you who tuned in. And until next time, enjoy your week.